So today I want to tell you a story about two dogs that are from the same litter, but just a very small difference in how they were managed and how they were looked after made a massive difference for how healthy they were and how long they lived. So stay tuned for that story. Hi, so I'm Dr. Alex, the vet behind ourpetshealth.com, where my aim is to help you and your pet to live a healthier, happier life. So make sure you're subscribed if that's something you're interested in. And today I wanted to do something a little bit different, and that was to tell you a little story about two dogs. So they had very similar upbringings, but there were little differences, and that made all the difference to how healthy they were and actually how long they lived. So we've got Bailey and Max. They're two Yorkshire Terriers, two Yorkies from the same litter, and they were rehomed to different families, you know, at normal time at about 8 weeks of age. And if we start with kind of Bailey, so Bailey was doted on. You know, he was part of the family from a very early age. He was fed the odd table scrap, you know, and he actually soon learnt that, you know, turning his nose up at his normal diet meant that he got an extra little bit of something tasty. So often it was a bit of chicken, sometimes it was cheese, a bit of ham, sometimes it was just the table scraps, kind of the leftovers from the family meal. So, you know, that was something that he learned from a very early age. You know, he just loved lying on the couch with his owner, you know, not doing very much. Actually, he's kind of quite lazy. And by 18 months of age, you know, he was still very healthy, but he'd started to kind of pile on the pounds, and he'd put on a little bit of extra padding, if you like, and that's exactly what the owner saw it as. That, you know, he was just a bit of a cuddly build, you know, it wasn't anything serious, you know, and nothing to worry about, and no action needed to be taken, because, you know, after all, he was still pretty healthy. Okay, so that's Bailey, but what about Max? Well, Max went to a very active, a very outdoorsy family, you know, and he was always running around. He just loved getting stuck in and exploring the surrounding neighbourhood. You know, he didn't really actually get many treats, but he wasn't too bothered about food anyway. You know, he ate what he was given. You know, he learnt to accept that, you know, if he didn't eat what was down, then, you know, that was it. That's all he was going to get. You know, in 18 months, he's lean, he's muscular, he's really athletic. You know, his owners do have a little bit of a problem. So when they take him out to the park or whatever, then a lot of people are telling them that, you know, they must be starving poor Max because he looks so thin. You know, his owners kind of asked the vet, you know, what they think or if there's a problem. You know, and the vet, or something that I say as well, is, you know, says that, well, actually, you know, most people, their dog's overweight, so that kind of skews our perception of what normal is. And, you know, sure enough, when Max's owners, you know, have a look at the dog that's on the end of the lead of these people who are saying they're starving Max, you know, they are a little bit podgy, or often they're quite obese. So they soon learn not to take, you know, too much notice of that at all. So we're going to fast forward a few years now, and both Bailey and Max, you know, they're really part of the family. They're absolutely doted on, they're adored by their owners, and they, you know, they're not just dogs, they're furry family members. And that's something that, you know, all of our pets really are. You know, we care so much about them, they bring so much to our lives, and Max and Bailey were absolutely no difference. Max, he's fit as a fiddle, and Bailey too, he seems pretty healthy, you know, but they've both kept their kind of early body condition, because that early experience and early feeding and early condition, you know, is often what's with us for the rest of our lives, and our dogs are no different. So Max, he's fit as a fiddle. Bailey as well, he seems pretty fit, you know, he's not got too many issues. He has the odd minor thing that he needs to go and see his vet for, but, you know, nothing that needs any major treatment or ongoing treatment. You know, he does slowly gain a little bit of weight as he gets older. It's nothing, you know, it doesn't seem like anything too much. And his owners, you know, not too worried, because, you know, whenever he goes for his annual checkup or his vaccinations, the vet says, oh, you know, it's only a few pounds that he needs to, you know, lose to be healthy. And, you know, a few pounds, so it doesn't sound like very much at all, does it? This, though, is how things end. So Bailey dies at 13.5 years of age. You know, it's not a bad age. He was pretty stiff, you know, by the time he got to those final few years, you know, and he coped, you know, pretty well with that stiffness, and actually he coped pretty well with the diabetes that he developed as well. You know, he was very accepting of the twice daily injections, and his owners did absolutely everything that they could. But, you know, ultimately, you know, things all got too much for his little body, and at 13.5 years of age, Bailey passed away. Now, Max, on the other hand, at 13.5 years, so while his brother has passed away, he's still going strong. He's really fit. He's, you know, slowing down a little bit, but he's active, he's interested, he's still engaging really well with the family. Sure, he's sleeping a bit more, but you know, actually there's no problems. You know, whenever he goes for his check, he seems to be fit as a fiddle. And you know, eventually he succumbs at the old age of 16 years to just, you know, the kind of the ravages of old age, if you like. There was a short illness that he had, but really up until that last month or so, he was very, very fit and healthy. So we've got two dogs that really are as similar as you could get. They're from the same litter, they're both brothers, they're both male. But you know, there were huge differences in how long they lived. So Bailey, who was a bit overweight, you know, verging on obesity towards the end, he lived 2.5 years less than his brother Max. And you know, that may not sound very much, but actually if we think of that in human terms, that's a 10 to 15 year difference in life expectancy. So that's really huge. Now, this is just a story. So Bailey and Max don't exist, or certainly I've never met them if they do, or didn't meet them if they did, but they're a perfect representation of what being overweight can result in. So there's been amazing work done that have shown that overweight pets, overweight dogs, overweight cats, they live a shorter life. They suffer from more diseases than dogs and cats that are a healthy weight, and they don't even need to be obese. So, you know, our dogs and cats that are just a little bit overweight are really suffering from these problems, and they're dying younger. So arthritis is a problem, diabetes is a problem, skin conditions are an increased problem in our overweight pets, and that's just to name, you know, just a couple of things. So we know that certainly in Yorkies, that difference in life expectancy can be 2.5 years, or 10 to 15 years in human terms. With something like German Shepherds, they're at the other end of the spectrum, and there's maybe a 6-month difference in life expectancy, but still, you know, that's still kind of 7-8 years in human terms, which is still a pretty significant difference between being healthy, lean body weight, being nice and muscular, to being just a little bit overweight, carrying a little bit of excessive fat. Now for Max and Bailey, the difference was only about £3, so it's only a few pounds, and £3, it really doesn't sound like much, does it? And it wouldn't make too much of a difference, but that would actually be similar to me carrying an extra 66 pounds of body weight, and that's equivalent to, you know, nearly half of my body weight, healthy body weight again, as fat. So that's a huge amount. So actually one of the biggest things that we can do for our pets, for their ongoing health, to keep them healthy in the first place, to try and prevent them from suffering from a lot of these diseases, is to keep them a good body weight. So feed them the right amount. You know, obviously exercise plays a role as well, you know, but feeding the right amount, just feeding a good diet, avoiding kind of lots of fatty foods, avoiding lots of treats. So we can still give treats, but they shouldn't make up more than, you know, about 10% of calorie intake, and that's a really important thing that we can do. It's also, you know, it's not rocket science. We just need to concentrate on it. We especially need to think about our smaller breeds, because very often people are thinking that they're really fussy dogs, you know, and the only way to get them to eat is to give them kind of their food, their human food. In reality, a lot of the time these are tiny breed dogs, and they really don't need to eat very much in the first place. So, you know, what you're giving is more than likely to be adequate. Obviously, if you've got concerns that they're getting too thin, then, you know, talk to your vet about those problems. But in the vast majority of cases, they're not being fussy. They're simply eating everything that they need to, and then kind of you're effectively giving them chocolate at the end of the meal. So of course they're going to eat those things, and that might make you think that they are in fact hungry. So make no mistake, fat does kill. And it's a really common problem. It's one that I see every day in my consult room, but all too often it's dismissed as, you know, oh, it's nothing serious. My pet's pretty healthy. It's not going to make a huge amount of difference. You know, they seem happy and I'm really not worried. Well, you know, if you could be with your pet, or your pet could be with you for an extra 2.5 years for the sake of keeping them a healthy weight, isn't that something that we really should be concentrating on? Okay, so that's it from me today. So I turned into a little bit of a rant at the end, but you know, it's something that I really do feel strongly about. All of our pets, all of our cats and dogs deserve to live as happy and a healthy life as possible, and being a healthy weight plays a huge role. You know, also it will reduce your vet costs, you know, reduce the ongoing care costs of your pet as well. So, you know, what is there to lose? Anyway, let me know what you think in the comments down below. I'd love it if you subscribe, and until next time, I'm Dr. Alex, and this is Our Pets Health, because they're family.